إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, we have to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for the great many blessings that He has given us. From the health, the wealth He has given us, the protection and safety that He has provided us with. We thank Allah Azza wa Jal for all of these things. One of the things that we also have to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for is our life that He has given us. Our soul that He has put inside of our bodies. The soul that we have inside of our bodies. And this is going to be the topic that we have today. The soul, and more specifically the heart. A lot of times, a person will live this life, and the main focus of his or her life will be the physical body, which contains the soul. They will go out, they will prepare themselves before they go out in front of the people. They will look in the mirrors, and they will spend countless hours, maybe minutes or hours, trying to fix their appearances. Sometimes, some people, they spend money on other cosmetics. Sometimes people spend money on surgery so that they can look even better, make themselves look even younger. Also that they can look beautiful in front of the people. But in the kingdom of Allah, the day of Allah Azza wa Jal, that does not matter. Allah Azza wa Jal does not enter people into Jannah based on how we look. If that was the case, where would we go? Rather, Allah Azza wa Jal looks at the soul. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ أَجْسَامِكُمْ وَلَا إِلَىٰ صُوَرِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. Indeed, Allah the Most High does not look at your figures and your faces. He doesn't look at the way you're made. Rather, He looks at your qalb, your heart. What is in it? Is it sincere? Is it doing things only for Allah Azza wa Jal? Is it righteous? And also Allah Azza wa Jal looks at your deeds. Is it muwafiqan lil kitabi wa sunnah? Is it in agreement with the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This is what Allah Azza wa Jal judges us with. So we have to give importance to the heart. Because if the heart is fixed, then the rest of all of the output that comes out, all of our deeds, every one of us will be doing good. And as a result, all of humankind, every single thing that comes out of them, their output and their deeds will also be good. There will be no bad. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا وَإِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً. Verily indeed, inside of the body there is a piece of flesh. إِذَا صَلُحَتْ صَلُحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. If that piece of flesh is righteous, then every single thing after that, the whole body, whatever output comes out of the body, will also be righteous. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. And if that piece of flesh is mischievous, it's evil, then everything else after that, the output of that body will be evil. أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. Indeed, it is the heart. So we have to fix this heart so that we can, as a whole humankind race, we can end up achieving something greater. This heart, this soul, what do we know about it? Allah Azza, we look inside the Quran, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this soul. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They are asking you about the soul. قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Say the soul is from a command of my Lord. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You were not given from knowledge except very little. Meaning that whatever we know about the soul is very limited. And the only place where we can actually get information about the soul is from the book, from Allah Azza wa Jalla's book. And we can't go to science, we can't see it. Because even in science, they don't know what's going on. They don't know the difference between life and death. The only thing they know is that inside the brain, there's just a small excrement that's being excreted. That's all we know, the difference when we see a person who's alive and dead. Things are not working, but something in the brain is being excreted. We don't know what that is. They have terms and stuff like that for that. But the actual soul, Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about it in the Quran. That's where our knowledge truly comes from. So what do we know about this soul from the Quran? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about it, and He says it has a heart. It has a heart. Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about it, and He says that this soul can hear. Just like our physical body has ears, this soul also has ears, and it can hear. This soul has eyes. Just like our physical bodies have eyes and it can see, this soul also has eyes, and it sees things in a deeper fashion. Also, as I said, this soul has a heart, and this heart, it can be plagued with diseases. It can be plagued with diseases, just as our physical heart can be plagued with physical diseases. This heart that Allah Azza wa Jalla has put into this soul, it also has certain things that can mess it up, that can conflict it, that can cause it to be mischievous. Also, this heart can also be very hardened, to a point where this heart can be harder than a mountain. Because even mountains can crack. Sometimes the heart cannot crack. Nothing can come and penetrate this rock, this harder than a rock heart. And this is what I want to speak about today. How hard is our heart? How hard is this heart? I will give you a test. I will give you a series of questions, and you can ask yourself and answer these questions to yourself. Where is my heart? Is it a righteous heart? Is it a soft heart? Or is it an evil heart, mischievous heart? Or where is it in the middle? The first question that you should ask, or we should ask ourselves, is the heart the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal? Where are we with the dhikr of Allah? Do we remember Allah Azza wa Jal often? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu dhkurullaha dhikran kathira. O believers, O you who have believed, remember Allah with a lot of remembrance. Do we do this? Because even if we don't do this, let's say we are a little bit less than doing it a lot. At least when we look at the creation of Allah Azza wa Jalla, we have trees outside. We have the clouds, the sun, the sky, the moon. We see all of this nature in front of us. Do we connect this nature with Allah Azza wa Jalla? Meaning, does this nature remind us of Allah Azza wa Jalla? That's at least the bare minimum. If it's not Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, this constant dhikr, then at least what we see around us, are we connecting it with Allah Azza wa Jalla? And that is truly where hearts truly find peace, with the dhikr of Allah. With the dhikr of Allah, especially with the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Qur'anu afdalu dhikr. Imam Al-Hasan Al-Basri, rahimahullah, said, I do not know anything that is the best medicine for the heart to make it soft than Al-Quran. So ask yourself, where are you with the Quran? Where are you with the dhikr of Allah? Where are you with contemplating the ayat of Allah? If you have not reached that category, then ask yourself the second question. If dhikr is too much, then ask about your salah. Ask yourself about the salah. Are we praying 5 times a day? This minimum that we have to do, that will, bi'idhnillah, enter us into Jannah. Are we doing this bare minimum 5 times a day? The Banu Israel, they made a covenant with Allah Azza wa Jalla, that they will pray their daily prayers, however many they were. They were probably more than 5. And they will give their zakah. They will respect the prophets, they will believe in them, and they will venerate them. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, if you fulfill this covenant, I will admit you into paradise and I will forgive you your sins. Right after this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about what they did. Allah says, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ. Because of them breaking the covenant, because of them breaking this promise, this firm promise that they made with Allah Azza wa Jal, we cursed them. وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً. And we made their hearts hardened. My point here is, if we're not praying the 5 daily prayers, where is our heart now? The ulama said that the mithaq, the covenant, it's talking about the salah. They neglected the prayer. And as a result, their heart became hardened. We have to ask ourselves the same exact question. Where are we with the salah? Realize the salah prevents a person from doing immoral deeds. Sometimes they might fall, yes. But salah overall in general, as Allah Azza wa Jalla said, it prevents a person from doing immoral deeds. Allah said, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ. Indeed, salah, it prevents a person from doing immoral deeds and evil deeds. Now, if we're not praying the salah, where are we falling into? We're falling into the sins. We're falling into immoral sins. Ask yourself the next question. The first question was about dhikr of Allah. The second question was as-salah. If that's not being fulfilled, the third question has to be asked. Yes, a person who doesn't pray will fall into sin. But when we fall into sin, do we feel regret? Do we feel nadam? Do we feel guilty in front of Allah Azza wa Jalla? Ya Allah, I disobeyed you. Is this inside of our heart when we do the sin? Because if it is there, then there is still hope for this person. There is still hope for this person. This person can still end up doing tawbah. But if the person has no guilt, he will do fahsha day and night. He will not leave it. She will not leave it. It becomes their life. It becomes a person's life. And they fall into the circle. فَخَلَفَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ. They will come at people, they came at people after them, they left the salah, and they started following their desires. These people that followed their desires, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, He said those people who followed their desires, He said, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you not seen, tell me about a person who has taken his God as his desires. فَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ. Allah Azza wa Jalla made him go astray even though he has knowledge. A person who's following his or her own desires, that's all they want to follow, nothing can come to him. Not an ayah from the Quran, not a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, not a strong admonishment, nothing can penetrate that heart. That heart has become sealed. As Allah Azza wa Jalla said in the same ayah, خَتَمَ عَلَىٰ سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ. Allah has put a seal on this person's ears and his heart. وَخَتَمَ عَلَىٰ سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ وَجَعَلَ عَلَىٰ بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً. Allah has put a blind covering on front of his eyes. فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ. Who can guide this person except after Allah Azza wa Jalla? This is a very serious situation. And a lot of our people, a lot of the Muslims have been caught into this vicious circle. And we have to get ourselves out. We have to get ourselves out of this circle by stopping the sins, having that guilty feeling, finally praying the salah, and then connecting the creation with Allah Azza wa Jal and doing the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the test that you must ask yourself. You can grade yourself where your heart is right now. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. We spoke about the heart, we spoke about the soul, and that it has a heart. And this heart can be plagued with diseases, or it can be a righteous, soft heart that thinks about and realizes its creator, and thinks about its creator. And we also ask ourselves many questions to determine where our heart is exactly. The first question is dhikr of Allah. The second question, as-salah. Third question, do we feel regret and guilt when we do the sin? And the fourth question is, if a person keeps doing fahsha, where is this person going to go? Where is this person's heart? That's the last category. Now, I want to talk about what are some of the ways in which our heart can become softened? What are some of the ways that we can get rid of these spiritual diseases, these diseases of the heart? There are many answers that the scholars give. I will just give you some of those that I felt were interesting and those that I felt personally that affect me, that make my heart even softer. Bi-idhnillah. It is number one, as-sawm, fasting. That is because, and we all witnessed Ramadan happened just after a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago. Our Ramadan passed, and in Ramadan, a person is fasting. And the whole purpose of fasting is what, as Allah Azza wa Jal says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can have this God consciousness of Allah Azza wa Jal. That is because you're very hungry, you're very thirsty, but you're still not going to drink or eat. Why? Because you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. You know Allah Azza wa Jal is there, and you cannot break His commandment. That is what a psalm does for you. And that is, if we do psalm, we have this God consciousness. We're always thinking about Allah Azza wa Jal. Because every time you're hungry, you ward it off by knowing that Allah Azza wa Jal is watching you and you won't do this. That right there, this thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala softens a person's heart. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is mentioned, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. When the name of Allah is mentioned, their hearts start shaking out of the awe of Allah Azza wa Jal, them being in awe of Allah Azza wa Jal, them venerating Allah Azza wa Jal, and them fearing Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what thinking about Allah Azza wa Jal does, and that is what a psalm does. That's number one. Number two, if we don't do the psalm, then at least do ihsan. And this goes back to probably the famous hadith that many of us probably have heard. This is when Jibreel came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked him many questions. He said, what is Iman? What is Islam? And the Prophet ﷺ answered these questions. And he came in the form of a man. And then one of the questions he asked was, what is al-ihsan? And the Prophet ﷺ said, أَن تَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ, that you worship Allah as if you see Him. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. And if you don't see Him, He sees you. This is ihsan right here. This is ihsan. Meaning that, not just when you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Every action that you do is a worship of Allah Azza wa Jalla. How so, you might ask? Yes, prayer makes sense. Reading Quran makes sense. But going to work, that probably doesn't make sense. It will if you understand the following. When we go to work, we're going to go back to work. We go to work, realize that I'm doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm making this money, halal money, so that I can feed my family with it. And you're putting this inside of your heart. You're putting this inside of your heart, and you're feeling that Allah Azza wa Jalla is watching you. At least, if you're not in the phase of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jalla, then you won't do a sin. فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. You might not see Him, but He sees you. Meaning that you won't do the sin because you have this consciousness about Allah Azza wa Jalla, that He's always watching you. So every deed that you do will be the best deed. And that is al-ihsan. Every single deed that you do is the best deed. And every single deed, I'm not just talking about worship, I'm talking about every deed. It is ibadah. You flipped it. You're being rewarded for it. This is ihsan. The first recommendation is as-sawm. The second recommendation is al-ihsan. The third recommendation, and this is very important, it is being around the poor people. Being around those people who are not as fortunate as you. If we look, if we look around, we might not see them because we're all living in a bubble. In our own community, we're living in a bubble. When we want to pay the zakat or we want to pay sadaqah, we just put it in the box. We're disconnected from the poor people. As a result, we've created a bubble for ourselves. We're not coming out of our comfort zone. And as a result, this heart, it's just staying where it is, even after a person gives a sadaqah. The Prophet ﷺ said, هَلْ تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ إِلَّا بِضُعَفَائِكُم. You are not given sustenance. You are not, the ummah is not given help except because of the poor people. Meaning that when you go to a poor person and you give this person the sadaqah, you see his situation and you actually feel for him and you're doing it from your heart and you help this person's life out. This person will make a dua for you. Not just any dua, he will make it from the deepest part of his heart or her heart. And that dua, the dua that is sincere, those are the duas that are accepted. The poor person just made dua for you. This person made dua that Allah Azza wa Jalla give you blessing. As a result, you get the benefit. As a result, the ummah gets victorious, it gets victory. And this is how we are helped, because of the poor people. The Prophet ﷺ said that even one of the good deeds is to put the hand over the yatim, to wipe the head of a yatim. Meaning that being around with the orphans, being around with them, seeing who they are, being around them and seeing them, that helps a person's heart. And all of us can witness. All of us can witness. Those who are here amongst us and those who are not here amongst us. Those who are not here amongst us, we can all witness to the fact that if you go and see the poor people, you go and witness their situation, you will definitely, everybody will definitely have their heart being very soft. Those who are amongst us, those who are not amongst us, the non-Muslims amongst us, they can even attest to this fact. That's why sometimes when I was in school and they would let us go out on field trips and we would see the situation of these people, literally you will see them crying. You will see them crying. This is what it does to a heart. No matter where it is, it brings a person's heart from being the hardest, it softens it a lot. This is one of the best ways that I recommend. My last piece of advice is realize you are what you eat. When it comes to physical, food, and you are what you eat when it comes to your heart. Whatever you feed your heart, that's what your heart will be. And that's exactly what you will that is what you will be, and that is what you will output from your body. Allah Azza wa Jal gave us this heart. He gave it the ability to see and ability to hear. If we go out and we look at good things, we look at the Mus'haf, the Quran, we look at the words, we're reminded of Allah Azza wa Jal, that is what's going to our heart. What comes out of our heart, whatever the heart tells the body to do, will be something good. But instead, if we go out and we look at the haram, we look at those things that we're not supposed to be looking at, that's what goes inside the heart becomes altered, it becomes dysfunctional. And then what it does, it outputs the wrong things. It wants you to do the wrong things. Same thing when it comes to listening. If we listen to the Quran, it goes inside the heart, and you will want to output the Quran in your life. But if a person goes on and all he does, or all she does, is listen to backbiting and slandering, something that our communities are plagued with, we listen to the backbiting and slandering, and we hear this, a person will end up outputting everything that is wrong. We will want to backbite because the other person is doing it. If we hear the music, what the body wants to do is just want to play the music all the time so we can hear it. This is the dangerous situation of the heart. You have the right to pick. You have the right to do. The choice is yours. It's totally yours. I cannot change your heart. Only you can. Allah Azza wa Jal, He is the control of the hearts, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He make our hearts firm upon this religion. Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qulubana ala dinik. Ya musarrif al-qulub, sarrif qulubana ila ta'atik. اللهم اجعلنا قلوبا خاشعة اللهم اجعلنا قلوبنا خاشعة اللهم اجعلنا قلوبنا خاشعة ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. أقيموا الصلاة.